Jay and Joss here from GAK.
Hello.
We are very excited because today we have got the orange Bax Bangeetar, which is the first pedal that Orange have ever done.
It's the first one.
Everybody knows Orange for being, you know, a British amp company that makes big orange sounding, orange looking amps. And it's, I guess, you know, sometimes it can be a little bit worrying when you get a company who diversifies and does something new, because I mean, you don't know what it's going to sound like. Is it going to be good? Is it going to absolutely? Yeah, Is it going to step up and be of the same caliber as the amps? And the answer to that question is yes. It is
definitely.
It's brilliant. It's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. It does so many things. You've got, essentially, it's a gain pedal. Like, that's the crux of the issue, right?
Well, essentially, yeah.
It's a drive pedal, but within that, you've got a 5 dB boost, which is switchable on and off. You've got a mid, the mid section is incredible, and I think we'll get to that in a minute. We need to sort of move in a little,
you know, mess around with it a little bit to explain it a little better.
You've also got a cab simulator out alongside, you know, your standard out, so you can punt that over to a PA. You can plug it straight into your computer. You could, if you wanted to, you could go out to like a second amp.
Yeah,
as well,
I think you can do a dual cabinet sort of effect as well, can't you? Yeah.
The only sort of slight issue with doing something like that is you're gonna, like, it's got the CabSim in.
Yes.
So if you're going CabSim into another amp, I don't know, it might be a little bit weird. But the thing that's cool about that is that the cab simulator is actually it's based on a 412 with G12s. G12Hs.
Oh, okay.
In it, so it, you know, it gives you a really big, boomy rock sound. And whilst we've not heard it through a PA yet, I bet it sounds absolutely great.
I reckon it does.
So that's really cool. It's got a really high quality buffer in there, so you're not going to lose any tone when you're, you know, using a lot of cables. And because of that, there's a lot of companies at the moment who are bringing out buffer pedals.
Well, that's the thing at the moment as well, isn't it? If you're using a lot of pedals, a lot of people I know will use a buffer, especially Matt Knight, you know, the guy who works...
the manager here in the store.
Yeah, he uses a massive pedal board, and I know he uses a buffer to keep his signal really strong.
Absolutely, yeah, and I've heard it with and without, and it really does make a huge difference.
It does make a difference, yeah.
And so something like this will give you that without, you know, pedal board real estate is a hot topic.
Yeah, definitely.
You need to make sure that you're staying in control of your pedal board real estate. And this is quite a big pedal.
That is the thing. If you're going to use something this size, but the good thing is, as we said, it is a Swiss Army knife of you know, different bits and pieces. So if you're going to use something that's this size, the benefit of it is that it's got a multitude of different pieces that you can use, you know, effectively, instead of just buying bits and pieces that you may need to cover certain situations where you could buy something like this that's going to cover them at really good, strong bases.
It's a really, really cool sounding pedal. The other thing that I quite liked about it is it's 9-volt in, so you can use it. You can use it with batteries, or you can use a 9 or a 12-volt power supply, and then now, I don't really understand how this sort of stuff works, but they convert it inside from 9 to 18 volts, which gives you a lot more headroom. And I mean, we've been playing around with it, and it does sound absolutely, like, it sounds so banging. You know, there's so much to do. So I guess maybe we should sort of put our money where our mouth is, and let's give it a play.
Cool. So obviously, we're on it's engaged at the moment, but let's turn it off, and I'll give you the clean channel now.
It's on standby.
Oh, okay, go on. So this is our clean sound.
So this is us, worth noting, we're going into the Rockerverb 50 Mark III, which we have just done a video on, which will probably be up around the same sort of time. There'll probably be a link to it somewhere if you've not seen that.
Yeah,
but that's what this amp is. It's the Mark III, the new one. It's great.
So that's the clean sound. That's the direct, no pedals, apart from obviously
the buffer.
Yeah. So we're going straight into the amp here. So that's just the direct clean sound.
Yeah. So I guess what do you want to do? Should we let's set them mid in the middle, because we'll come to that in a sec.
Yeah.
So this is everything like relatively flat, and then
So this is the drive.
This is the drive. So it starts when you go in, you start the drive.
Cool. Well, that's ridiculous.
So what I really liked about that is when you've got the gain down quite high. So I didn't really touch the volume too much there. I did bring it down just a hair as we started to get to about the midpoint, just because it was a bit too loud for this room. But you know, when you're sort of got the gain down, you know, near the bottom, it's very, very transparent.
It is.
It's, you know, you just get a little bit of grit. It doesn't add too much. It doesn't colour the sound too much.
No.
And then as you go round, it gets drivier, but it stays transparent.
Yeah, I think that's the inherent thing with most of the sort of the orange amplification thing that's coming across, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can have the gain relatively high, but still have all of that.
I mean, it still sounded like
I could still hear the guitar.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
absolutely. Yeah. You can really sort of mess around with the you know, the volume and the tone control, and there you still get the dynamics of the guitar without like the pedal isn't too overpowering in that sense. Now, one of the things I was doing when I sort of played around with it a little bit earlier was when you bring in the top control, when you bring in the tops, I think you really get that sort of like, oh, go on, give us
yeah.
That's like prop. I mean, that is that guitar, right?
Yeah,
proper,
yeah.
Like proper 80s.
Paul Gilbert style.
Yeah.
Sort
Super
of,
trebly. When I plugged it in earlier, and when I had the treble up and the bass down a bit, it almost gave off that sort of black metal type.
Okay.
You know, the really like
the old
really
school mayhem
hissy,
style thing.
absolutely,
Yeah.
really hissy. But again, still super transparent. You
Yeah,
can still
so
hear the sound of the guitar.
I mean, yeah, there's so much clarity there.
Yeah.
It's still there, isn't
it? So that's that. That I think sounds good. Another thing that's worth pointing out before I forget is the knobs that they're using for the controls are wicked. They're really, really cool. They're like, I think
they're slightly divoted, aren't they?
They
like
are,
you can feel them,
So you can, you've got a real nice swoop on it.
Yeah, and you can feel every single notch as it turns.
Absolutely, you can. I think I've read there's 22 different points.
Oh, okay.
So you can really make sure that you I'm not going to count them because that would make for a dreadful review.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
I'll start here. You start
Yeah.
upward. So you know, you get that real precision there. They're the same controls that are on the Rockaverb actually, which is worth pointing out because I don't think I mentioned that in the video. Oops. So that's that. You've got a boost as well. You've got a clean boost. It gives you a 5 dB boost. Now, if I set that so it's like relatively transparent there. It just kind of opens it up a little
just
bit.
slightly more, yeah.
And I just think like, I mean, I'd just leave it on. But like, that's really, really cool. And that coupled with this would give you so many options because with this you've got all of the switching on there, switchable, attenuator, and like, you know, you've got all of a sudden, you've got six settings more or less for a standard valve amp, which is cool. So let's move on to
the mid controls.
The mid controls, the main focus of our discussion today. So the point where this pedal really comes into its own and really sort of sets itself apart from, you know, most other, well, I mean, I say pedals of its kind. I mean, as we sort of said, there isn't kind of anything else that does everything. But like, if what you're wanting to do here is really take advantage of the EQ properties, the place where it really comes to life is at the top here across these three.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me almost like a mastering tool, as opposed to just a mid boost or a mid cut.
Yeah, well, it's like a fine combing tool.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that it works is when the mid control, which is the most left control here, when that's at 12 o'clock, it isn't doing anything. No. It's you know, it's as is. Then you've got a mid cut on the left and a mid boost if you turn it to the right. What this then allows you to do is it brings in these other two controls. Now, the best way I can sort of describe it is when you say you want to do like a mid boost. So we're going to turn it up. We're going to boost this mid. You've then got kind of your two axis points of where your mids are. And what the frequency, which is the right one here, does is you say, right, well look, here are the mids. The mids are in this section here. Yep. And I want to pinpoint this mid here. I really like the sort of upper mids. And I really want to boost the upper mids. I really want to boost this section here. What that does is it brings to a focal point this position on the spectrum. Is this making sense? Are you with me?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's there. And then this control here controls how focused you are on that particular point, or whether it's a bit of a smooth cut to it. So when it's all the way down here, it's almost as though the axis is going, right, mids are boosted, this mid's boosted. Whereas when you're over this side, it's going, right, yeah, so we're going to boost this mid subtly, and it boosts up the mids around it as well. I mean, it's very difficult to explain. So I think if we give you a go. So what we'll do is we'll set it up. We'll start everything in the at 12 o'clock. Yeah.
So this
and
is
then
just completely
just the guitar with the boost on. Cool. So from there, we're going to now boost the mids.
Yeah.
So we're turning this up here. Now we want to go even further than that, and we want to boost the upper mids. We love those upper mids.
Yeah, we love those.
Gonna boost those upper mids. So. The problem is, Joss, is I really like the upper mids, and there's just too much like the upper middle mids.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna turn this one down. It's gonna really focus on the upper mids.
The upper mids.
Yeah, right. So play it, and then I'll turn it.
Cool.
Really tight.
Really tight.
Like a bit of almost sort of compression.
Like natural compression.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, another good way to sort of show off how this is working is you can switch between the frequencies. So if we leave this down so it's right at a very big focal point.
Sure.
And then like a tight focal point, and then we go from, if I go through the frequencies up here, it almost begins to sound like almost like using a wah.
Yeah.
Like that sort of quacky, phasey sound.
So essentially, instead of it being a wide wave, you're quickly going over where that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So
most mid is.
Correct.
So
yeah.
You're
So
going over that.
if it's flat, you're going like, I don't really know how to do this.
No.
It's like it goes woo like that.
Yeah.
Imagine there's like I need a piece of string really. I need some sort of physics
going over
diagram.
the sharp point faster. Okay.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
let's see what that sounds
right.
like.
Okay. So if you play,
if I just play one note, for instance, so we can hear it. So it sounds like almost, exactly as you said, like almost as if there was like a synth engine under there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can hear it moving. You can hear the frequencies moving.
And so that was quite like obvious. If we go the other way and go to the wider swoop, then this is going to give us a bit more of a subtle but still pronounced like change in the mids.
Let's see what that sounds like.
I'm glad that worked.
Yeah. So exactly. So you could hear that just as obvious as the other one, but it was as if it was smoother instead of being there more top end.
Yeah.
It was a lot smoother.
Yes. Yeah. And then so that's all just on the mid boost, and you can do exactly the same with the mid cut. It's just a really cool. I mean, a mastering tool is kind of like the best way that I can describe it.
Yeah.
But apart from anything, it's just a really, really good pedal. It's heavy. You know, it's built in the UK as part of like the Orange custom shop stuff. I'm really into it, and I really hope they carry it on and do something some more
definitely.
along this range.
I'm excited to see if they're going to do anything else in the pedal range. So I hope they do, because this sounds it's a perfect guitar work tool. So
Absolutely.
hopefully they do something else.
Cool. So I think Joss is going to give it a little another little play, and yeah, let us know what you think. Cheers.